The time is 1:53 p.m. December 4th. There is a break in this just utter, indescribable, ungodly noise they make here. There was a whole bunch of people during the organ harvesting factory machines they set up. They come to that joint 1503, 1504 as the house is going down towards the Mexican cartel. I can say it, but to a certain point of how much I can say. At least I can ID the houses for the public. They like to dress up those very houses with lots of lights and lots of decorations in the yard. There's massive violent gore and horror that goes on up and down the street. And a lot of the individuals that protect the street are packed into that white apartment building on the corner. All right. And none of these properties are owned by individuals. It's owned by a major business out from another country. Remember how I told you the order of operations that was in, I can't remember now. One of these Eastern European countries actually held the business license in their little city hall. And it was for a multi-billion-dollar company that owned this basic block. So that Fed/Pentagon, when you see all those white-looking guys, the like cops-looking type guys, yeah, Fed/Pentagon. All of this is owned by that company. Okay, the house I'm in. So they go ahead and they want to take me to court, send this idiot that wants to wear these funny hats and tap on her head while she's wearing a hat to pretend like she owns the house, so on and so forth. As long as the courts, as long as sitting politicians and police and fire continue to protect, then they believe with what they have logically deduced. It's not logical, but they think they're smart, so they think this is logic. They believe they can just drag anyone they want to the courthouse, keep this place up and running. And so when you see the huge machines and you hear them, they're like these huge machines. This is the best I can describe. We can do it later. They come at midnight. They go till like 2. They come sporadically, but they're always there. And those guys, they're yelling. That's for the organ harvesting. It's a major op here, of course, because of just what I tell you alone, that I witnessed in this property alone with the level of mass gravesite here. And they bring in like these Chechens, they bring in all these foreign militaries, they bring in massive amounts of these basically illiterate Arabic terrorists. They join up with the Iranian Guard, they join up with whatever group who wants to sponsor them and train them to a certain degree, and they come here and they just charge. I've heard assaults, I've heard it all here, okay? There's half the shit I can't fucking talk about. What's an assault? Please Google it. It was serious. It used to happen all the time on floor 3, multiple down. Happens all the time underneath my chair in that area. And then after that, you'll smell the corpses, and then you'll smell them frying them up. So a lot of these people who are frying them up and are cannibalizing are from Latin countries who are illiterate. They probably can't read very well, if at all. And from Arabic nations. They haul them in. They don't read my count. They don't know nothing. They can't speak English, and they just get wiped out here. Okay, that's the facts. And they're organ harvesting like crazy, those dead bodies. Plus, they organ harvesting their own fucking police, their own military, U.S., along with massive Ukrainian. But the Ukrainian, don't forget, are actually Russian Putin guys. They're Russian. They fingerprint them, and so on and so forth, and you can ID them and log them in your database as Russian nationals in the actual Russian military. When that happens, they're classified and marked down by the good guys, who many of the good guys are Russian. They're the good guys. Okay, they're in the Russian military. They're in the Kremlin. They are helping my Navy SEALs. Okay, I'm going to keep repeating that until it sinks in what's happening here. So we're allies, okay? Google what allies are. I am being kind of sarcastic because I'm irritated today. When that happens, the good guys in the good Russian military log it in as traitors and treason. So they have massive amount of Russian guys that they log in, and then they leave them for dead wherever they executed them while they were trying to use WMDs in here, poisons, attack the good guys. There's all sorts of combat I hear. They leave them for dead, and then their people, a lot of these domestic terrorists that you've seen on the film, these crazed Americans, they're white, they're black. It's not just a race thing. They'll drag their bodies off, which I have testified, I've heard. They'll drag them off and they take them into these other houses. They used to do it in this house. They chop into them and they organ harvest. All right, so that now the Americans feel sorry for one of the main players in this, because these sorts of operations that branched to different states, like it came up in the papers, that was all the good guys that made it possible to come in the papers. The U.S., the sitting politicians want to keep playing games. They put this stuff in the paper. It was basically by force that had to go in the paper, because there's a lot going on here with the top cats, the military experts, that can by force make that publicized. But when it is by force publicized and it is raided or busted by factual event, in reality is raided and busted, they'll cover it up and say, oh, it's just this, and then they'll start investigating themselves. All the perps, like the Texas Republican Party, the Texas sitting ones here, and the ones, they aren't all just Republican in the state of Texas. They're Dem and Repub. They'll investigate themselves. So this never ends. This kangaroo show never fucking ends. As long as they're still sitting in power, I think people can figure that out. They must be removed from power. And you understand now. So these creeps, cockroaches, don't want to be removed from power. All right? That's what I keep telling the public. They want to keep cannibalizing. When you hear the assaults, you got all these fucking creeps going down. They want to keep cutting into the bodies and organ harvesting. And then they get all sad and want to make a big to-do about one of their main guys who's a main avenue to Putin. He's like a main guy of Putin's, okay? But he's here in the U.S. working for Putin in the United States, protecting all Putin's little Russians and all that crap, okay? Protecting the organ harvesting, setting up all the hospitals, George Washington, MedStar, so on and so forth. All right? Those places, those facilities in Texas, that guy was a runner-up. He's all over that. And the top cats, military experts, good guys, knew that. They know that. And this guy ends up getting assassinated. So the Americans want to feel sorry for him. Of course they do. They're only going to feel sorry for their big leaders that are carrying them through this barbarianism. Okay? I've warned you about the U.S., okay? The U.S. wants to go into your country and do this shit to you and only feel sorry for themselves, not any of you. They want to use all these poisons and gases on all of you and only feel sorry for themselves. The Americans are incapable of caring for human life. There's only 48% of our population that would not do that to you in another country. They do not want to do that. The Americans that want to do that are in the sum of 52% of our population. They don't care, and they feel sorry for themselves and the guy who gets assassinated. Do you follow that? That was one of their guys. And where was he? New York City. Okay, so I think maybe the dots are connecting, okay? There's a break in the sirens, the mufflers, everything you can think of that runs around here, there's a break. It got really quiet. I'm really grateful. The machines that do the organ harvesting and manufacture their poison gas that shoots in here are gone. They'll bring in these huge, massive equipment stuff. I'll film it, I'll show the world, but I'm never allowed to. So the fact I'm talking about it is pretty cool. Okay, that guy's down. I tell the world, please don't feel sorry for him, unless you want to feel sorry for Putin when he goes down. Okay, and if you do, then we clearly know what you're all about. And if you want to feel sorry for Zelensky, who's Putin's best friend, okay, it's all fake with those two. If you want to feel sorry for the Chetnian fucking creep and his disgusting son who've got it coming, then go ahead, okay? But that's who you're feeling fucking sorry for. These really nasty organized crime Russian mob men. They're in the Russian fucking mob. Do you understand yet? They want to march into all your countries, declare themselves white supremacists, declare all of you lesser than, and feel sorry for only themselves. And they got a gang of Americans following right behind them. Okay? I'm really glad to see that guy got taken out in New York City. Okay? It's so good. So MedStar Hospital, George Washington Hospital, you go ahead and keep doing that. You know, you go ahead because you're just like the ones here. So these MedStar Hospital folks and these George Washington Hospital folks in the capital of the United States, where they're big time doing war crimes and the good guys know all about it, they do it inside of their hospitals, okay? So I want the public to know what kind of people some of them are. While these machines were running for their organ harvesting right down the couple houses down on this block, while there's all this crazy noise that was causing me to blast my sound machine, there was like a gang of American domestic terrorists just shouting for like 10 minutes. They would erupt in this crazy, like they're high, having a party. Woohoo, ah, yeah. And they just go on and on and on. And they're clearly fucking schizo. And they were right around those machines, and then they go away for 5 minutes and come back and shout some fucking more. So that's the kind of people here, okay? They cheer this on. They love it. They drive down the alleys. They send any bitch down the alley with a phone in her hand. And although the rest of them are walking in front of the house, everybody's got a phone in their hand. The phones are really pitiful, but I'm forbidden from talking about the cell phones. But you want to walk around here, if you're brave enough and you're not one of these creeps in this town, everybody's holding their cell phone when they come to 15th and S. Everybody has a phone equipped in their hand. It's really pitiful. But go ahead, do that. Drive down the alley with that shit in your hand too. Drive over a glass, crash into things with the phone in your hand. I can't say any more about the cell phones. It's pretty bad. So this town, go ahead. I assume they'll all have their phones in their hand when I'm in the civil courthouse, being prosecuted by these very terrorists who chop up bodies, organ harvest. See their own guys get fucking assassinated in New York City. We'll see who else gets assassinated before the court date. All right? Adios.